ahwefo ye ma ye ho akwaba ye san ama ye nyina ache aba sorena shrine semobe kaya. This is the time where we pick almost about 1 hour and pick one very important issue. Your friend asem kese na ye domu esuko. Obroni beka say the trajectory of businesses, or better still Ghanaian businesses. So be say oh ye dwuma o sha se fi he. So be say onyankopon de ne dum pompon so bi wona dwuma yo mu a owie suku oko school nto aso okoye dwuma ehfa no wadu. One of the concerns of many has been the fact that most Ghanaian businesses do not travel beyond the first and second generations. Those and many others we are going to discuss a little bit more. I told you, sir, we have a surprise for you. And this morning I have a father, a true son of the Methodist Church, 𝗕𝘂𝗶𝗴𝗁, Dr Ishmael Evans Yamson is my guest this morning. Papa, dear friend, this man needs no further introduction. He is the chairman of the Yamson and Associates. Yeda Papa say, we know he's a very busy man. Pa say ne oba can't ye Papa ye feed ye so the oba ye man kwa na watch ya. So you may want to greet a few people, then we can.
Remember, we na ache. Maybe some for Brahman contrase and 𝗕𝗂𝗀𝗁𝗁 na me asormba Cabre Methodist Church. Our mention here and na my uncle for many anom titru masofwe. I wanna watch him about my was some seven.
Okay.
We are already program ya pay Manache. The Muina said the Moy and Roche Wesleyan television.
Yedase. Panti, I know I mentioned 𝗕𝗂𝗏, you're trying to whisper something. You know, for us who read about you, there is so much mention of 𝗕𝗂𝗏 in most of the things you say. Yeah. So sometimes we are confused really about whether you come from 𝗕𝗂𝗏. Do you have a lineage there? Yeah. Where were you born?
Well, I was born at Brahman Quintansi.
Okay.
In the Brahman traditional area. And most people will confuse Kontrase in the central region with Kontrase at the lake side in Lake Bosomche.
Okay.
Because Kontrase, that's what people's mind will take you to. Yeah. But if Kontrase, 𝗕𝗂𝗏 features very strongly in my life.
Okay.
Because 𝗕𝗂𝗏 Secondary School shaped my life. 𝗕𝗂𝗏𝗏 School 7 years from Form 1 to Upper 6.
Okay.
Metina software de Graf Johnson. On no share school nase. Na metina nichen de neba from Form 1 to Form 3. Ne wuyi de onko share Swedru Secondary School ase.
Ase, okay.
And see Orija mo no mama actually went with him to 𝗕𝗏𝗏 to Swedru. And decided to start from Form 1, even though I was going to Form 3, because he was going to start the school from Form 1.
Oh,
that's how close I was to him.
Okay.
But then he handed me over to the next headmaster, popularly known as 𝗨𝗏𝗏𝗁𝗏. But the school shaped my life because the motto of the school is 𝗓𝗓𝗏 𝗕𝗓𝗏.
Okay.
And in English, we say character and efficiency.
Okay.
It's your character that will determine how far you go in life. Whether you succeed, whether you not succeed, whether you be prosperous or not. You talk about business. Is the behavior of the business that will determine how long it will exist. And see, 𝗕𝗂𝗏𝗏, my documentary has been shown recently, And it features very strongly because, and it is very dear to my heart. Because I always say that, say, usuban iya siko ebeye ska bandana brodo 𝗕𝗂𝗃𝗶𝗴𝗁𝗁 iye yimiyam. Because ka ye bibiara. Mo musuban na ozoboko bibiara.
Okay.
And because I have lived by the motto of that school, that is why wherever I am, I exhibit the nature and the behavior and the character of the school. Because it's not just the motto. The school expects that even after you have left, you will live the motto of the school.
Okay.
That your character should show that you are a man of integrity, you are a man of honesty, you are a man of dedication, that you are not afraid to work.
Yes.
And see, that's why many people confuse me.
That you come from up. Yes.
Apam.
So you know that confusion, but I myself have always thought that.
Yeah.
Because it was one of the questions I was going to ask you. Apam.
Yeah, that is it.
And you remember we were talking about Osofo Pratt and how closely
Yeah.
you are.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Dear friends, we are with our father, Dr. Evans Ishmael Yamson, who is the chairman of the Yamson and Associates. He is also a true Methodist and a member of the Calvary Society in Adabraka. This morning we are looking at navigating the business world. Business yeah dinu nanso ya papa de be me say ofa no fala ofa no form. Papa, your life history is very fascinating. Please take us through how you were born. We understand at some point in time your parents were really seeking for your coming. I will put it like because they had tried several times in welcoming a child. Please take us through your birth.
It's a long story, but let me make it brief. My mother's name is 𝗕𝗂𝗀𝗀𝗁𝗁.
Okay.
And my father's name is Philip Thomas Yamson.
Okay.
Mama na papa wo share na mama na ewe Africa cry.
Okay.
And son kan che won warrant. Now my grandparents had 15 births. 11 had died. And at the time I was born, only 3 were surviving.
Okay.
So they had no boy. And they were yearning to get a boy when my mother gave birth to me. So for them, it was a God-sent gift.
Okay.
That a male boy had eventually arrived in the family. And it's a terrible story because, you know, those days the feeling was that the 11 children died because of the witches in my mother's family. So there was pressure on my grandfather to divorce my grandmother.
Okay.
My grandfather brought Methodist Church to Bremen Constance. And he said, I took this woman to Sopon Methodist Church and got married to her those days.
Okay.
And I swore before the altar never to divorce her, and I will never do that.
Even in those days?
Yes, and he never did.
Okay.
So my grandfather took me under his umbrella as his son. Unfortunately, my father and my mother divorced.
Okay.
And I was only probably less than 18 months when they divorced. Because the child after me also immediately died. And my father's feeling was that, those witches have tried their thing again.
They are striking.
They are going to visit the witches on me. So no. I don't want to remain in this family.
Yeah.
So he decided to divorce my mother. My mother at the time was very ill, I understand. So indeed, it was my grandmother who also had a child at the time we were about 6 months old difference, who breastfed me together with her own child.
Wow.
Yes.
Interesting.
So, and so when my mother got married again and left the village, and we Methodists, those days, if you were a catechist, you were not allowed to marry a divorcee. So my mother was a divorcee then. So my mother could not present me as her child. So the only people I knew growing up as my father and my mother were my grandfather and my grandmother.
Okay.
And I called them mother and father till they died.
Oh.
Because they were, so the people who have shaped my life, if you put 𝗓𝘃𝗃𝗀𝗁 Secondary School out, that's my grandparents. They made me who I am.
Wow.
They were core Methodists. They were hardcore Christians. And I remember going to secondary school, you know what he gave me? A Bible. That's all he gave me.
That is a Methodist grandparent.
Yes. I said, who be there who we me and them book him. One course school now.
Okay.
But to see A, B, C, D, Wufi, till you could read the Fanti Bible. So I said, any question in life, you can find an answer in this book.
And this is around which year? I'm beginning to speculate.
This is 1950. Okay, I started school in 1940, about 49.
Okay.
But I went to secondary school in 1957.
Right.
So I'm talking about 57 occurrence.
Okay, a little after independence.
A little after, no, the year of it, 6 months, 1957.
Okay.
In fact, my generation who went secondary school, we went secondary school in January as Gold Coasters.
Okay.
In March, we had become Ghanaians. So we are the only generation in Ghana
that attended school with Gold Coast and Ghana. Right.
Mr. Yawa Safamafo always.
Oh, was your mate?
No, he was my mate, but he was in another school.
Okay.
But he was the first person who actually drew my attention. Ishmael, do you realize that we went to school as Gold Coasters, and in 3 months we had become Ghanaians?
Interesting. Yeah. And the name Ishmael also means so much to you and your grandparents.
Yes.
How does Ishmael inform the future we are about to talk about?
Well, my grandfather thought that I was a gift of God. So he gave me the name Ishmael.
Ishmael.
And he kept explaining to me why I was important to him. And he told me the story about Hagar and all the rest. So it's a story that sometimes gets very emotional.
A bit emotional, yes.
And I will come to this when we come to
your business.
We'll talk about business.
Yes.
That environment did many things to me.
You mean the secondary school environment?
No,
or the home environment?
My home environment.
Very well.
The circumstances of my birth, the circumstances of my grandparents.
Okay.
Because as early as 9 years, I was determined to change the lives of my grandparents.
9 years?
Yes, and I told my grandparents, one early morning, and we will go to morning service, not in the village. So we go at 4 a.m. But we will have to wake up and pray before we go to service.
Okay.
So after the prayer, I said to Nana, that's me, Ina.
9 years?
9 years. But we were a very poor family. And the old man looked at me and couldn't believe what I was saying to him. So we went to church, we came back, and he then took me back to the room. And let me tell you, I slept with my grandfather till I went to university.
Okay.
We slept on the same bed.
Where was grandma at the time?
My grandma would live in another room.
Okay, and you will be with the old man.
Old man with the old man.
Okay.
So, at a very early age, when I had literally lost my mother because he's got married to a catechist, they were living somewhere. I went to school. Those days there was no Form 1. Let me just go back and say, you had to do Class 1A, Class 1B, Class 1C before you go to Class 2, Class 3, Class 4.
Yeah.
And then Standard 4, you go to Form 1.
Okay.
Form 1, there was no Form 1 in the contrast. It's
The
a
middle
small
school.
village. Yeah, middle school. So I was taken to Jambra.
Okay.
Also in the Breman traditional area. And I had to walk 6 miles every morning to school. Wow. And 6 miles every evening after school. But before you go, you start the journey, you wake up at 3 a.m. to go to the farm to bring food stuff. Because my stepfather would not eat anything which is more than 24 hours.
Oh.
Everything he ate must be fresh.
Fresh.
He lived very long, many years, over 100 years. Everything he ate must be fresh. So you wake up, go to the farm, bring food before you come and wash and walk. I know those days there aren't many tarred roads in Ghana. Dusty road. So from Jambra, from Fusiansa to Jambra, you walk 6 miles. By the time you get to school, you are late. Until you then can say late to school.
Teacher Rochon.
Literally every week I will be caned twice or thrice. But God so great, I was so clever and intelligent, and so I was first in class every time. So the headmaster, for that, he would save me the punishment of the case.
Right. Interesting.
But after 1 year, my grandfather wasn't too happy with the conditions and decided that, okay, Bracontra's in a school or Dobin.
Okay.
Again, another
okay.
5
so
miles.
that is how Odobin also came into the story. Yeah.
And see, they could translate to Odobin. That's for 3 years. So you are walking 5 miles in, 5 miles out. 5 miles in, 5 miles out. My grandfather would give me, those days, 2 shillings 6 pence a week. That's a lot of money.
Yes.
Now, I will spend maybe half, because a quarter man cannot watch you Damba, which is 2 pence, 12 pence those days. Into me,
Yeah.
so I can't remember this year. Me, Baba, no dosa. Then, if my mother visits the village, she always take me aside and question me about how I'm happy. I couldn't understand why this woman was bothering me. So I asked my grandfather, who is this woman who's always asking me whether I'm happy and blah, 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 blah. But he never told me that that's your mother.
Oh, okay.
But if I get up to, say, £1, when this woman comes, I'll give to her. But I had no...
You thought it was an auntie?
An auntie who was just interested in my well-being.
Yeah.
So that went on, and then for my grandfather, I should become a priest of the Methodist Church.
Okay.
And see, maybe a school, middle school, and I made a common entrance. I'm a minister 7. My pass. Why, I'm a catechist, I call here commander training college. I can't call commander. And son, I call a friend in Kumasi, Wesley. And son, we are before you go to the priesthood.
Yes.
See, well, you want to tell me, I mean, now the village catechist then comes and says, now, friend Mr. Amon, now, ne uncle, the direct uncle, ne mammy, ne Reverend 𝗂𝗂𝗏𝗂𝗏.
Okay.
About fear no do. About it also no nani. Most of my bini abandoned also. All commander. Also, now where school will be wapa or your Methodist full school. Now, or your Methodist in base My grandfather was not interested. He wants his grandchild to be Osofo. You are coming to talk about secondary school. So this 𝗓𝘃𝗀𝗏𝗁 says, "Oh, don't worry. We'll be secondary school now. Still, about to back up.
Continue
suffer. Bibi and Chedo to me this suffer." So reluctantly, he agrees. But I want to go to the school and see it myself.
Okay.
The Ebasa. First year, form quadrobin because there's no vehicle between Contrans and Robin. Of course, he went and met Reverend Dr. Johnson, and he was overly excited.
Happy.
Method is seeing sofu. Or said, Medina was so them is not on the fact.
Okay.
The Minister of Dr. Johnson 3 years. And of course, 𝗓𝘃𝗃𝗀𝗏𝗁 then became part of me. One background crowd, me Befi. Me throughout the holidays.
Wow.
The 7 years I spent at 𝗓𝘃𝗃𝗀𝗏𝗁, I probably came on holidays maybe thrice or 4 times.
Interesting. So will you say that your Methodist training and background right from the house coupled with the 𝗓𝘃𝗃𝗀𝗏 training, which was also Methodist, is what is now going to inform the future we're about to talk about?
I would say that my Methodist values as what had shaped my life. Because 𝗓𝘃𝗃𝗀𝗏𝗁 starts at Methodist secondary school. I was confirmed at 𝗓𝘃𝗃𝗀𝗏𝗁 by Reverend Ebiata.
Oh, Reverend Ebiata.
Yes, he confirmed at 𝗓𝘃𝗃𝗀𝗏𝗁.
Okay.
So, and every Sunday, the headmaster will come and stand at the entrance of the church and will mark the register.
Okay.
Samba Asora Monday morning, even 𝗓𝘃𝗃𝗀𝗏𝗁, you be killed.
In the secondary school.
I'm telling you. So the Methodist values, the training, and I can tell you that 9 years I was playing the organ at the church.
Oh.
My uncle was the singing band master and at the same time the choir master.
I have wondered why you like him so much. I didn't know you have a background. You and your son Harry, you like music.
Yes.
All right.
Yeah.
You played?
I play and I still play.
Oh.
I have a guy in my house. I play from time.
Very interesting. But let's move quickly into your secondary school. Now we know how 𝗓𝘃𝗃𝗀𝗏𝗁 has shaped you. You've moved from the secondary school. You are in the university now.
Yes.
What happened at the university and how did you quickly land your first job?
The university was an interesting episode as well.
All right.
Because we have a few classes. And if you know Legon very well, the layout is simply beautiful. So I enter Legon from the village. And I go to the registry where I locate 𝗓𝘃𝗃𝗏𝗁.
Okay.
For all the 3 years I was in Legon, first I went to Legon to do geography.
Okay.
I wanted geography, and then you chose where you want to be. Not that now that they write you and say we are giving you this course.
You choose your own.
You choose your own course for your career. I had done geography at sixth form. I did geography, economics, and mathematics. So I was more interested in geography. I loved particularly regional geography those days. I wanted geography, and then, hey, this place, when we come, it's a top place. So I ran away. Then I go to maths because I wanted to do mathematics. Okay. I didn't find anybody there because people just were scared of doing mathematics at the time. I ran away. I went to the economics department. At least I found 7 people.
Okay.
Right? And those days, only 3 schools were teaching economics at A level in Ghana.
You mean the secondary school?
Yeah,
so
𝗓𝘃𝗃𝗀𝗏𝗁, 𝗪𝚋𝗃 College, and St. Louis in Kumasi.
Oh.
That's all.
Wow.
So most of us had come from those 3 schools. And I was early, and I later found out that my cousin was also my mate.
Mate in the university.
My course mate.
Okay. What is his name?
Mrs. Bent Williams.
Oh,
Mary.
okay.
Yeah,
all
she
right.
passed recently. And because I was so poor, even in Legon, I had a friend who came from a very wealthy family, 𝗕𝘂𝘀𝗶𝗴𝗁 from the crab family.
The crab, okay.
Her mother was a big trader, a very generous man. So every week her mother would bring food and provisions and all the things that we needed.
Later he would go into law.
Well, he didn't. He was a trained teacher before coming to university.
Oh, he was all right.
So I would wash his clothes to be able to get soap to wash my clothes.
Wow.
And that's why these days when young men and young girls feel that there's too much hardship, I said, no, that must toughen you because you have passed through that before. I didn't have money to buy Lux soap and Key soap. No, I had to wash somebody's clothes. But university life those days were just great because
yeah, at least you had food to eat.
you have to. But we eat 4 times a day.
Wow.
Actually, if you add the
in between
breaks,
meals,
it's
yes.
5.
Okay.
So you have breakfast, then you have 10 o'clock tea, then you have lunch, then you have 3, 4 coffee or tea, and then 5 dinner.
Wow.
5.
I'm sure no students will fail.
No, you were paid to be in the university.
Okay.
Yeah, I had allowance to be in every term. We call 13 million. 13 pounds at those days.
Okay.
You were given money to be in the university. Right? And so, and for the 3 years, I had my own room.
Alone?
From 1 to Form 3, from first year to third year.
The third year.
Alone. With my room, my balcony, everything, you know, my bed. You get out in the morning, you put your shoes in front of your door. By the time you come, it's been polished. You put your dirty clothes on your bed. It's ironed and washed and ironed and packed there. Your bed is made. You lived a very, I mean,
comfortable.
To come from the village and be
a poor boy enjoying life now.
Oh, by far. And I enjoyed economics, but of course, that was also the period of great tumult in the university.
Okay.
Because that was towards, so I went to Lagos in 1963. That was the period, Ghana's hardship had started about 1961.
Yeah.
The very first budget deficit in this country
was in
1961. By 1963, the government was broke. But we were entitled to food. And I can tell you, we went on strike simply because we had been fed rice for 1 week. Oh. Can you imagine?
One-way ration.
And 1 way for 1 week. Oh.
Yeah.
We were very angry. Why should we give us only rice for 1 week? We want better food. But in Nkrumah's opposition, the greatest center, the fire center, was in Lagos.
Okay.
You could go to the law department, the law faculty, economic department, the political science, who were the troublesome department.
Religion, sociology, history.
They were quite.
Okay. Oh, okay.
They were calmer than the economic people, and because you know in the economy there was conflict between the socialist economics,
okay,
and you know the free market economics. Yes. And those of us who have come through the free market economics could not understand why someone should come and say centralized planning and all these. So we were simply opposed to it.
Yeah.
And I can tell you, Nkrumah was I mean, from hindsight, I think we're all very misguided young people. Because we never understood
Nkrumah
at the time. Because I always say that Nkrumah, 2 things. He was a visionary man who lived well ahead of his time.
Okay.
But I found it difficult and, you know, patient enough to bring along his followers with him. There are a lot of people who were in the CPP understood, maybe. But the greater majority of Ghanaians could not simply understand why this man is telling us. When we see Chinese who all wear 1 suit, and why do you want all of us to wear 1 suit? Yeah. Not possible. And we misunderstood him.
Was it the case that Ghanaians thought he was moving ahead of us, or we thought he was simply mismanaging our funds?
There were it was a complex situation. Being ahead of us was one.
Okay.
Socialism was another.
No, Zieske.
That will be the fourth one. But the third problem for me was more about the politics of the time.
Okay.
And Ghana's bane, one of Ghana's bane has been its politics. Because, and I met 𝗕𝗂𝗶𝗴𝗁 personally as a student.
Okay.
There were many excesses. In Lagos, many young people were just hauled to jail for opposing 𝗕𝗂𝗶.
Okay.
So for us, we associated socialism with lack of free speech.
Okay.
And in Lagos, freedom of speech, academic freedom was central, and today it is still central to Lagos. That if you cannot express your opinion, if you cannot debate your opinion, if you cannot allow the best mind, to win, but you use might, then it's contrary to all the things that we have learned everywhere. And and that was clamored by the passing of the PDA, Preventive Detention Act,
yes.
which so many people wanted. Some maybe legitimately, but many others were just on suspicion. And that was the time when even in your own family, you couldn't talk to your children because you were young pioneer members.
They will go and expose.
Yes. So this was the whole politics of the period. And then, of course, Nkrumah was a visionary and ambitious person. And when we come to business,
yes.
I would relate this to this.
To Nkrumah.
Because he had a purpose for Ghana and for Africa.
Okay.
But it was in the execution of that purpose that everything went wrong.
Wow. So we are going to move into business very soon. Let me just bring my viewers to speed. We are speaking with Uncle Ishmael Yamson, who is chairman of Yamson and Associates, a true son of the Methodist Church, a man whose life was shaped by his grandparents through Methodist training, and also at the Palm Secondary School through the ethics and the morals of the Methodist Church. Now he's in the University of Ghana. He is influenced by 𝗕𝗂𝗶𝗴's ideology. There are oppositions as well. But this man is quickly going to land himself a job. Uncle, let's continue from when the thought of a first job started.
Well, I wanted to be a soldier.
Oh!
And actually, those days, you didn't have to apply for a job.
Okay.
By the time you have written your exams, you go to the notice boards, there are job offers from literally all the companies in Ghana. Because that was the period where many foreign companies were looking for Ghanaians to replace their expatriate staff.
That's right.
So I had about 7 offers, but there was also offers from the military academy, Ghana Armed Forces,
Okay.
looking for young graduates to join the army. And I jumped at it. Because those days, we were in our last year when the 66 coup was
Staged.
Yeah. And in the military academy, for instance, their lecturers were largely from Canada, from India, and they had all left because they just couldn't understand that the violent overtake of power. So they were looking for replacement, and those who were going to join the regular army and the rest of it. So I chose to go to the army.
Okay.
But at the same time, I had offers from UAC of Ghana, UTC, BA, all those companies.
Big trading.
So I went there. At first, during the holidays, I was attached to the ordnance depot. At the time was under one Colonel 𝗕𝘂𝗀𝗏𝗏.
Should be an Anglo person.
Yes. So we were there for about 3 months, and then we went to military academy training school. But as fate will have it, just before we start training, the commandant of the training center sent for me. I went to see him. He said, young man, you are a very small, thin person. You've got a good degree. You're extremely intelligent. Why do you want to be here? I don't think you'll be a good soldier. Because you are too small for the army life.
Military hustle.
Yes. So you can't be here. You have to go away. And I was standing, and he kept saying, sit down. Because I said, like, in the military, you can't do that. Yeah, but he forced me to sit down. I sat down. Then I said, Father, he then spoke to me gently and said, he thinks I can have a better career outside of the army. So I should go. And you won't believe that early morning, it is his own vehicle with his driver who came to pick me and take me out of that place.
Wow.
So my auntie was living around the post office area.
You mean Accra Post Office?
Accra Post Office, the main central post office. Those days, the opposite was Bartholomew. They were the dealers of Mercedes-Benz. And my auntie saw me and started crying. She thought I had been sacked. I said, no, I've not been sacked. They say I'm too small. I can't be a soldier. But I had an offer from UAC to come for an interview.
Okay. Was it just when you were asked to go away, or it was a previous one?
I got it before I attempted to join the
military. Okay.
So I entered the interview, and that's another interesting episode. You know, I don't come from Accra. So after I finished Legon, I didn't have a place to stay, but a friend who was also in the same hall, who was a very mature student, had a private school of his own before coming to Legon, offered a house to me, offered me a house around Abaka Junction.
Okay.
At that time, Accra ended at the police depot. Beyond police depot, there was no buildings.
All over.
Just forest.
Okay.
This house was uncompleted. Said, you can live here. You won't pay me rent, but you come to my school and teach for free. So I stay at Abeka Junction. I take Trotro and go to Usu.
Okay.
Salem.
Usu Salem.
To Salem, to go and teach. Then I go for this interview. So, because I sat in the Trotro, and before, I thought I have to dress well. So I went to UTC, GNTC. They were the only people selling suits. And all the suits were Chinese suits. Okay. You know, the Chinese, they are short. So the arm of the suit was somewhere here. Then I bought an Ivanhoe shirt. You people don't know Ivanhoe.
At all.
Was the preeminent shirt. But that one was longer. So the arm here, you know, up here, and the suit is here. I looked very awkward. And I sat in the Trotro. So by the time I got to US at the Swami near Makola.
Makola, yes.
I was looking very dirty. Dust everywhere. But it was time for the interview. So I asked for the place where the interview was being held. And I just went. They called my name. I opened the door. A panel of 9. And they were shocked to see me. I mean, my suit was dusty, my shirt, my face,
sweaty,
everywhere, sweating. And I had to myself, where is this bushman from?
He said it in English.
He said it in English.
Okay. Were they all expatriates?
No, he said it in Fanti.
So there were some.
That's
right.
There was a panel of, I think, at about 6 expatriates and 3 Ghanaians. Okay.
So he was among one of these 3 who spoke in the Mfante and asked.
Yes, but he didn't want the white people to know it.
All right.
But the all three of them were Fantes.
Okay.
I'm a crashing way. So I said, and for somebody coming for an interview and you are greeted with a bushman,
demoralized.
So I stood there. Sit down. I sat down. And he was the one doing all the questions at the time. Oh. What's your name? Ishmael Yamson. But you have Evans in the middle of it. I said, yes. Ishmael Evans Yamson. Where do you come from? My father is from Sopon, my mother is from Rancontra. Ah, actually, for you, man, Jim de Mia.
You still said it in the infante.
He still said it in the infante. Actually, for you, man, Jim de me. Then see, and where the Baha. So I bathed, but I sat in throw
wahala.
Okay, sit down. Then we had to go through the interview. Then the chairman of the panel asked me, okay, young man, tell me, I've asked everybody who come here one question. Where will you be 20 years from now? I didn't allow the man to finish. I said, I will be the chairman of this company sitting in your chair.
You don't mean, and he was an expatriate, a white person.
Oh yeah, he was. Arnold Root. I remember his name.
All right.
So I'll be a chairman of this company sitting in your chair. They all burst into laughter. They thought probably this guy boy was crazy. Because those days, even to become a district manager, we probably would take you up to when you are 50 years or 55, when you are about to retire.
Yeah.
And you, 30 man like you come here, tell you be chairman in 20 years.
Yeah. Very amazing. Before you continue, I want to see the place of prayer in going for an interview, because you are a Methodist. Was there any thought of going to a prayer camp to pray or seeking the face of a... It was an interview.
Look, listen, I was brought up, waking up every morning at 4 a.m. to pray.
Okay.
That was my life. So for me, I mean, when people, I always say to my children, I know one lesson from the Bible. So when Jesus came, the curtain was torn apart. And we now can talk to God direct. So why do I need somebody's intervention to reach God? If that man can speak to God, I can speak to God direct. I can't speak to God only if I don't do what God wants me to do. Then there will be a darkness between myself and God. But so long as I obey God and I obey his laws and principles, I must feel proud. Because Jesus said, we are joint heirs. Is that not what Jesus said?
Exactly.
So why am I going around looking for somebody to come and pray for me? Pray for what? What prayer can he say that I can say? And I said to people, there's everything in the Methodist Church.
Everything in the Methodist.
Everything in the Methodist Church. The Methodist Church can heal. The Methodist Church can prophesy. The Methodist Church can do everything that everybody else does.
This must go into our daily bulletin. So there is everything in the Methodist Church.
Yes.
According to Papa Ishmael Yamson,
Yes.
the Methodist Church can pray, it can prophesy,
Yes.
and it can do all the healing.
Yes.
Please continue.
So I had prayed, said my early morning prayer. But those days, if you want to make a telephone call, you go to the post office to book. So I'd gone to book to speak to my grandfather the evening before the interview.
Okay.
And told him that I was going for this interview, and so he should pray for me. And said, oh, don't worry. God will be with you.
Amen.
So we finished the interview, but before we finished, he said, they said, okay, it's all right, young man, just go down there. There's a washroom there. Go wipe your place and come. So I came back and said, well, we finished the interview. There's lunch. Don't worry. Go there, because then there was lunch for the staff. Go and have something to eat, and you will hear from us. Within 1 week, I got my offer letter. 6th November, I got the offer letter to start work. But to make it short, same date, 20 years after, I got my letter as chairman of Unilever.
I think we should clap. so that this will be a combination of personal effort and intelligence, plus the prayer you are praying.
Of course, yes.
And that is what I want to establish for our viewers. Yeah. Dear viewers, we are with Uncle Ishmael Evans Yamson. Many of you didn't know there was Evans in between his name. He is a member of the Calvary Society in Adabraka of the Methodist Church Ghana, a true son of a Methodist church, an old student of 𝗓𝘃𝗶𝗴𝘁𝗶𝗀 Secondary School. We are looking at navigating businesses in Ghana. The Ghanaian business has a path. Now, this man, grandpa, has such a formidable background from infancy that is informing his future. Now, he's done with the interview. He's been offered his first letter. And what position were you offered?
A trainee manager.
Trainee manager.
Yeah.
All right. Managerial position on your first interview.
Well, a trainee manager will not necessarily mean that you can become a manager.
Okay.
Because what it means that you are training to become a manager. So you can pass your training or you can fail.
Oh, okay.
But those days, it normally will take you 2 years.
Okay.
To be confirmed as our first level
trainee manager.
No, you are a trainee manager, and then you become an assistant manager.
Okay.
Sorry.
Okay.
So it will take you 2 years to become assistant manager.
Okay.
And then another 2 years to become a full manager.
Okay.
So minimum 4 years. Some people will take 5, some people will maybe be 6. They still wouldn't be full manager. 14 months exactly. I wasn't made an assistant manager, but I was made a full manager.
You skipped?
Yes.
The intermediary.
And that is 14 months from the date I started to when I became full manager. And the history in Unilever, in UAC, for somebody to come and 14 months to become manager.
It never happens.
Never happened.
We'll be very interested in how you can squeeze the 20 years under some 2 minutes. Okay. So that you told the chairman at the panel that you were going to become the chairman instead. Tell us how you became the manager.
Yeah. So I became full manager and I started at Accra Ice Company. Okay. All young people who know. But right opposite next door to Accra Municipal Center, the old offices in the corner was Accra Ice Company. Okay. That's why I started. After 6 years, I was transferred from Accra Ice Company to 𝗓𝘃𝗶𝗴𝘁𝗶𝗀. Okay. Where I then became, before I left Accra Ice Company, I had already become a middle manager. I went to 𝗓𝘃𝗶𝗴𝘁𝗶𝗀, and in a year, I became a senior manager and a director of 𝗓𝘃𝗶𝗴𝘁𝗶𝗀. Okay. I was there for 6 years. Then I was moved to UAC Textiles. And I was managing UAC Textiles, GB Urban Textiles, GTP, and Japan Textiles, 4. Then after 6 years, I was then offered 2 jobs. But I was invited to London and offered 2 jobs. One, to go to 𝗪𝗚. 𝗪𝗚 was a food company producing ice cream and all the rest of it. Sausage rolls, sausages, bacon, and they were exporting to all over the world. Okay. And the man said to me, Ishmael, 2 jobs. That's one job, to be a marketing manager in the Midlands, the UK, or you go to Tanzania to be the chairman of a company that has never made money for 9 years, and which the company Unilever has been struggling as to whether it should keep it or close it down. Yeah. I looked at it and said, I'll go to Tanzania. He said, what? Let me repeat the 2 offers. One is a marketing manager, and 𝗪𝗚 was big, and it's still big. In the Midlands, you will be based somewhere in Wolverhampton. Or go to Tanzania, where there's no food, you can't get toilet roll to buy, you can't get anything to buy, Because that was the time when Nyerere,
It was power, yeah.
if you wanted to buy anything, you had to go to Kenya. I said, that's where I will go. Now, John Watt had lived and worked in Ghana before. He looked at me and said, maybe you didn't hear me well. I say it's between Tanzania, where there is literally famine, and UK. Today's Ghanaian will jump to go to jail, right?
Straight away.
I said, no, I'm going to Tanzania. He said, why? I said, John, you don't understand. I am born to face challenges and resolve the problem.
So what is that unique thing about you, something I call that competitive advantage that, number one, made all these bosses to see you as somebody who can do? And what is it from you that also makes you think you can always put up to the challenge?
And I will say it in one word. You must have a purpose for your life.
Purpose for your life.
You see, all along, remember I had said I want to be chairman of UAC.
Very good. So a follow-up question which you can add to this. Were you conscious of the 20 years? Did you want to fulfill the 20 years prophecy you had prophesied?
Yes. And I was reimagining it all the time. And I said to John, I said, you know something? If I'm a marketing manager in an English Midlands area, who will respect me? You, as I'm asking you, black man.
Yeah.
Maybe in the company. Once you enter the company, they will respect you. Outside the company, no. When they say there's a thief, you will be the first suspect. If I go to Tanzania, that business you told me is dying. How far down can it go? So I want to go and prove to you that I can solve that problem. So I arrived in Tanzania. Luckily for me, as a Ghanaian, I was, hailed because a lot of the senior public servants were trained in Ghana, in Lagos.
Okay.
Nyerere himself had lived in Ghana before.
Yes.
And I had a letter from a Ghanaian diplomat introducing me to the president and the vice president. So I go. And he spoke Fante.
Oh.
Yeah.
The president?
I'm telling you.
Wow.
So I translate.
Hey.
You
don't mean it.
I'm telling you.
Julius.
Yes. Yes. It can't pay for a good be away and what the locking.
I ought to pass on.
Only be not him. He was the president. My house was not far from the president's house. He never had a motorcade when he was going to his office.
Okay.
Never. He would sit in the car with his driver and his CD in the car. The only thing that you see is the crown. And people will pull for him to pass. Right. But he never used a motor rider. No. Never. So I arrived in Tanzania. Everybody is surprised what this crazy man
is coming to do.
So I arrived. My successor, my predecessor, had left the keys of the office to the secretary and just disappeared. So I arrived and I see two different companies. One, all Asians on one side, all local Tanzanians on the other side. And that immediately told me that this company, this is the problem it has.
Okay. So one company but divided.
Yes.
Asians one side,
yes.
African Tanzanians.
Yes. I said, but that wouldn't work. Because this is an African setting.
Yeah.
So I have my first meeting with the company. Every secretary was an Asian, every manager was an Asian, every senior man was an Asian, every junior man was Tanzanian. We can't practice this here.
Yeah.
So we have a meeting. I said, look, we need to do something very drastic about inclusivity. Today, people think that it's something very new. But it's not.
Yeah.
It's the way you manage it.
Yes.
So I said, okay, we need to have different directors, new directors. So I retire all directors who are Asians, and I appoint Tanzanians as directors. Give them houses. The spirit of the business changed immediately. I can tell you, I arrived end of June. The business had made losses for 9 years, remember. I started work in July. We posted our first profit after July.
Wow.
August, September, October, November, December, 5 months.
5 months?
Yes.
5 months. So, Uncle, Grandpa, let's use this as a model to now come towards the conclusion of our talk. We are looking at businesses in general. What unique thing did you introduce? Yes, you've said it, but I need us to highlight it. That really brought this resurrection. Ghanaian businesses are suffering. As I said, they do not live after the first generation. What is it that you brought within the company that changed the anatomy of the company?
I think, first of all, I've said it earlier that you must have a purpose for your business.
The purpose.
You have to have a purpose. The people would describe in many forms. I have a mission. I go to many offices, mission, vision, blah, 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 blah. And yet their own behavior contradicts the mission.
What they have written.
So you have the mission, you have your purpose, but you also have to have strategies to deliver the purpose.
All right, so purpose and then strategy.
Yes.
Is that what we call the strategic plan?
Yes, people talk about strategic plan.
Yes.
And I've read many so-called strategic plans.
Which are not.
But I can tell you that the strategic plans we need reimagining.
Okay.
But you have to have, but the purpose and strategy are not even so important that the principles and the behaviors that will back the strategies and the purpose.
Okay, the principles
And
the
the
behaviors that will back the strategy and the
But
purpose.
let me use Ghana as an example.
Please.
We are a rich country. And it is true we are a rich country. We shouldn't be poor. Our purpose must be like any country like Singapore,
Yes.
Malaysia, or whatever.
Even China.
Even China. Because we have everything. We have the natural resources, we have the human resources to do this. But we have had far too many purposeless leaders. Right?
That's
That's it.
But they come with manifestos.
Okay. The manifesto, you have to differentiate between a manifesto as a propaganda document and a manifesto as a document with a purpose.
Workable.
Because if you have a purpose, you must have strategy to deliver, and you must actually execute it.
Okay.
So if you come and tell me that I want to transform education, right?
Yes.
Then you tell me, my question would be, how will I know when you have transformed the education? How will I know? Because I need to have benchmarks and measurements, right? So the principles and the behaviors and the values are most critical. Because most of the time, Ghanaian businessman, he says, first of all, where would you why the management no so okay be. But he has no idea what that business entails, why that person is doing it, and how he's doing it. But also knowing his currency or okay be. Maybe he goes in first year, second, third year, he succeeds. But the critical shortcoming of most of them is that they don't have the capacity to anticipate the future.
Okay.
Right? Because I always say that we all brag that we were great executives. But COVID-19 showed all of us that after all we were nothing.
We were not great at all.
We could not anticipate what was going to happen. Nobody anywhere in the world ever thought that the world could be shut down in one day.
Yeah.
But the whole world was shut down. So you must have the capacity to anticipate what is likely to happen. Look at now, in Ghana, many businesses are struggling. Why are they struggling? Because they are struggling with a macro environment which is completely unpredictable. Okay. You don't know what's going to happen to the city tomorrow. So your ability to anticipate, to prepare for what you think is going to happen, and execute your plan if it should happen, so you are not surprised when it happens. Those are the things that don't make many Ghanaians survive the first generation.
Wow.
Because they manage the businesses for today. There's no vision, there's no purpose, there's no strategy to transform that, to build that business, make it 5 times bigger. I've been to India many times. I've met every business. Look, I'm telling you, 90% of the big businesses in India are family businesses. Why do they survive and we don't survive? We
don't survive in Ghana.
Because, oh no, Nemba in our don't go 𝗓𝗂𝗏𝗁𝗁. Na aka ono kwa wa ha. Na e de fe. The Nemba 𝗓𝗂𝗏𝗁𝗁. Now, whatever they are doing are unrelated to his job.
Ghana ni na aka na asemi.
Ghana ni na make na asemi. Member 𝗓𝗂𝗏𝗁𝗁. And on a base store. All his vision is that one little shop. Or you go to a Ghanaian factory. I visited some factory today. They are using technology 30, 40 years ago. Now I say, you can never be competitive.
Yes.
Because technology has changed. Today, it is changing at a pace that is unimaginable.
Alarming pace.
And who in Ghana is helping our business people to think that, look, listen, the world is not the same as when you started this business, and that you should reimagine it as you would have it today.
Is it not the case that when problems come, people feel they do not have a grasp over the problem? And so sometimes when we read your story, it appears you do not tell us the bad side. In Tanzania, what were the bad side which you overcame? Baby a honye, baby a hoye dineno. Council kakra chere.
Oh, sir. Ejuma mafande eboy ejuma. Epede isi factory. Waraka say epede isi factory. Nche, you don't have all the disciplines.
Yes. Yes.
A Ghanaian businessman will be very reluctant to hire somebody who has the capacity, the knowledge, the expertise to manage that business. Because if he say, nipa no obano,
okay.
But the fact that you are an entrepreneur doesn't make you a manager.
Okay.
No.
Okay.
You are an entrepreneur. I have a son who dreams of new business ideas every day. So I said, Ishmael, I need somebody to follow you, to take the ideas
and implement
and translate them into business.
Yes.
Because entrepreneurs, they think, they imagine things.
Forecast.
Yes. Right. But Ghanaian businessman, if you are an entrepreneur and a manager come, or your executive come, or no one is. But when you have today, managing your cash is so critical to the success of any business in Ghana.
Cash, financial management.
Yeah. It's very important. Because some people say, I the bank account or 2 million or whisker. But that is not cash. But when you tax our bit here, we inventory, Nema will be we raw materials are over here. But the one who says can we say me cash, we do sako boom. Then he said, I said, because we need car with the year. Fine. taking a loan is not a bad thing, because in USC you are actually taught to work with some other people's money.
Okay.
So, because it's cheaper for you.
Okay.
But look what Bobo said, I said, we'll make sure, say, we'll be the Ayajuma, and Yan Faso. I'm a watch your cano, and my abroso. That's the only way you create additional value. So I arrived in Tanzania, I realized that the biggest obstacle the business had was that it had no relationship with government.
Okay.
But don't forget, Tanzania was a one-party state. Knowing government, engaging with government, because literally every factory belonged to the government. Right? I arrived. That year was the first year UAC ever got a government contract to import Caterpillar equipment, because we were Caterpillar dealers. And see, I realized that building engagement with government will crack the problem. Okay. Because once you have government orders to bring Caterpillar equipment, that's your business.
Wow. So do we say relationship?
Yes. You have to build that relationship. You also have to resolve the racial issue.
Okay.
You have to confront it, right? And that is why I managed to appoint Tanzanian directors to bring confidence into Tanzania. Because the Tanzanians, if a Tanzanian enters a factory and there's a Tanzanian CEO, who will he talk to? Will he talk to your nation, or you talk to his company? So you need to understand what are those issues that will make this business grow, or what are the issues that will make this business stagnant. You need to understand. And then you need to then sit back and answer, so how would I resolve these issues? And see, business is not a one-day affair. You have to reimagine it, you have to refresh it, you have to refocus it all the time. Today, we are talking about artificial intelligence. We are talking about generative artificial intelligence. Every time, you know, no, so for crying, could you not put me into preaching? And who press a button and appreciate it?
But your me phone lines in that your bar. You ever heard how you left Tanzania, finally became chairman, and how you even got to the University of Ghana again, this time in another position? I want to ask that one. 025-625-3461. 025-625-3461. Our phone lines are open. Uncle Ishmael Yamson is here. A be friend and grandpa, yes, also your friend and daddy. A man we have all admired from afar. And today we are having the privilege of he telling us how his background has informed his future. More importantly, the word integrity, which he won from his grandfather and the Methodist trainer Unyaye. Says wako Tanzania, enchobe chairman. Chairman.
So, after 3.5 years, I got a call to come to London.
Okay.
And that was my 20th year in the company.
Okay.
And so I got there, and I'm told the chairman in Ghana was...
So Collins, you are calling from Somanya. Oh, Collins, you are calling from Suhum.
Yes, please. Suhum.
Oh, Suhum. All right. Suhum, yes, we are listening to you.
In fact, yes, please. Yes, please. We've learned a lot from Grandpa, after Methodist, and then statesman. We are all emulating what he's doing, and then we've learned something better from what his background. And as an old student from Apom Secondary School, and then I am also an old student from Apom Secondary School, and then after my from Apom, so I really appreciate him very well. Thank you
so much. So Apom for my friend, Grandpa now. It's chairman now. You are chairman. How did you navigate your chairmanship position? What were some of the major successes, and how did you end up in the University of Ghana again?
Yeah. Well, I came back as chairman literally the same month as the month I attended the interview.
All right.
And that was the period of great transition in Ghana.
Okay.
Because, and this was, I'm talking about 1986. If you recall, Ghana had gone through hardship, 81, 82, 83, 84. We started the structure adjustment program, if you recall, economic recovery program under Dr 𝗂𝘃𝗶𝗴𝘁𝗶𝗀.
Yes.
And so the huge transformation program. So arrived in Ghana, UAC was still the biggest, the largest, the most prosperous business in Ghana.
Yeah.
We had 26 divisions, huge operation. Literally, there was nothing, no business activity that the UAC was not involved.
Yeah.
We were in shipping, we were in advertising, we were
all over.
Oh,
We have a caller from Takrady. Lydia.
Brother.
Otindene.
I'm
Ah, nyamnadum ye too. Uncle too.
No man who could treat me do I'm say.
Ah, okay, ye too.
I don't want to know. What can you? Why bro of me
You remember fancy. Thank you.
Yeah, and see, maybe I need a doss. Companies in different Indonesia. Now, I was there the way I did a human. Yama, you and see, our manager, I wanna each a yama.
Okay.
Nipan on official yaman, another, oh, you been told, baby. And so I wrote turning, I wouldn't to know. After 84 now, yes, sir, structure a program and ne asin. We'll be there. We'll be able to my crying.
We have Abeku again. Abeku, you are calling from Amprobi.
Good morning.
Morning, Uncle Teo.
Yeah, done class, what about here better Abraham. But I want to ask a question. That whether he will agree with me, say they really enjoyed during their time.
They enjoyed.
Yes.
Okay.
To go to university and to go to your choice of course and to even have meals 5 times a day. And after they took over, it looks like they couldn't sustain it for us to go to university and also have meals 5 times a day.
All right, ask when they took over as what?
Has the generation
yes, okay.
failed us?
All right, okay.
That's what I want to ask.
Yes, it's clearer. He himself has gotten in now. So, Uncle, when your generation took over as leaders, and as I said, at one point in time, back in investing in the helm of affairs, we didn't have even one food to eat.
That is true. No, I think you are absolutely right. And as a generation at the time, I am very disappointed.
Yeah.
I never did politics, but I'm very, very disappointed that, and I can also say that we were a suffering generation.
Oh, okay.
Because when we left university, it took 22 years.
Okay.
Before we came to the end of military coup d'etats in Ghana. From 1986, from 1966, there were literally a new government every 22 months in Ghana, on the average.
Okay.
So that period, 22 years of instability.
Call it wasted years?
Wasted years, completely wasted years. Because we had liberators, we are redeemers, we are revolutionaries, we had all those people who came to save our lives. And we had civilian regimes who came to promise heaven and delivered hell. Right? So, Abeku, I agree with you. I am very disappointed with our generation. And I always say to my grandchildren, when you people ask me, And that's why I spent a lot of time sharing my thoughts.
Yes.
Because how would I answer to my grandchild when he says, so, Granddad, you were alive when all these things went on, and you never said a word, and you didn't do anything. And that's why I have been fearless about speaking about what is wrong in our society.
Okay.
Sabeku, yes, I share your disappointment. And Mama Kinde, say, baby, you would do. Oh, yeah, didn't put in canon. Every generation has its own problems. We had our problems because we were hauled into jail. Today, you are not hauled into jail.
No.
Right? You don't have prepared detention act, which we had.
You had, yes.
So every generation has its own problems. But what I can say in there, we have an obligation, the generations of today have obligation to change what's going on to Ghana and to Ghanaians today. Why am I saying this? And I'm sorry to digress from
it's fine. But we have a caller from the Volta region.
Okay.
So that we can... Oh, okay, right. It's off the line. Please, Grandpa.
Because... I'm saying this because my greatest worry today is about the leadership that our political system throws up.
Okay.
Because I can tell you, this country would change, will remain as it is, will be worse, depending on the leader that we have.
Yeah. Indeed, I have heard you made this comment somewhere, and you had said that at every point in time, once you speak so-called against the government, they think you are a certain political party.
Oh, yes.
So now NPP is in power, and when you talk, hey, or NDC, and during NDC, they thought you were.
Oh, yes. Yeah. I have gone through this many years, so it doesn't worry me anymore. I only speak the truth.
Okay.
Because, I mean, we all saw what happens in the selection of parliamentary leaders, members, even at the local district assembly level. So we buy leadership position. We buy it.
Okay.
We don't merit it. We don't choose people who merit. We choose people who can pay more for my vote. Now, so for you and I, if we want a better Ghana, then we should stop selling our own rights. Because remember, when the politician has come and paid and you have taken the money, he has no contract with you anymore. Right?
He's done.
He's done. Now it is for himself. Because he paid you. He paid you for the vote.
Yeah.
You took the money. That's the contract. After that, it's me and my family. So if we can change Ghana, and we can if we want to, then let's vote by our conscience. Look, in Europe, in America, in Europe in particular, and I lived in the UK before, no parliamentarian will vote in parliament without consulting his constituents.
Okay.
Right? In Ghana, who talks to the constituents? There are, after the vote, when they have voted and they have gone to parliament, many of them
they vanish until the next election.
Until the next election. I went to my village recently. Already the posters have started appearing. I said, what? So where are these people 4 years ago? And now they are appearing again?
Yeah.
So we have a huge problem on our hands. But unfortunately for us, those people who say they're foot soldiers, young men and women, one who they chin a world sound, a world jedede, and I asked them, so what is the purpose for you doing this? What purpose do you have? I'm not saying you must belong to a political party.
Okay.
You must have a political ideology. You must have a conviction. But to what purpose?
To what purpose? We have Kukua on the line, Grandpa. Kukua, you are calling from Cape Coast.
Crazy.
Yeah, Adeshe.
Sophie, thank you very much. From day one, I was starting programming. I've been with you based on one or two reasons. Since I'm a chef to call, I'm sorry for but every day I've been watching you.
But your train. Based on one or two reasons, if you met this morning.
Me free mukra, but my spirit is still in Methodist.
But let the body come.
Methodist.
Please let the body come. We beg you. Uncle, still, we are Methodist, so please let the body come. We are listening to you, please.
Yes. I have great impact in the program that you have been doing.
Okay.
From the one that you started this program, I've been watching you from morning to evening. Yeah. And I thank Grandpa, whatever that he's saying has given me some source of
you have some ideas, and inspiration.
And I've learned a whole lot from it. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Please come back to the Methodist Church. There is
Surely
a new spirit brewing.
Mama.
Please come back, okay? Come back. All right, Grandpa. Iti you can continue.
Yeah, and see, I be kuna sabna no can make one say. See, young generation, are you true? We have disappointed Ghanaians. There are still some of us still in politics. And my message to them is that I don't think we as Ghanaians want forever to be beggars, to be described as poor and highly indebted.
Yes.
It is enough. We need to begin to create a new hope for the generations that will come. We need to create a new identity, a new confidence. Because when I arrived in Tanzania, I was a confident Ghanaian. Right?
Yeah.
Because every African looked up to Ghana at that time. Today, it's all same.
Yeah, Kobobo cry.
Well,
okay. Akom what menka?
Metonka.
O kasafi ejuma ko yete o.
Masamanda papa na samorkano. Papa na samorkano. Or you true in Ghana now. But I don't know who select the so-called delegate. Because where I am, I've been in Tema. Now where I am, most of these delegates are riffraffs moving about, not working.
Okay.
They only force themselves into parties to be able to get their daily bread. And so if you have a way out, proper delegate, in Kwame Nkrumah time, they were called Valanda boys, isn't it? Now they are delegates. And they are causing a lot of problems. It's a shame that a delegate gets a TV for to vote, fridge, everything. What is it? Who are we selecting to Parliament? What law can they pass? What law can they pass? So please, if the discussion will continue, for Ghanaians to understand that the so-called delegates are not functioning as they should be. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Grandpa. You may continue.
I remember asking, I can't even continue.
Yeah.
What's happening to the delegates, or the behavior of the delegates, is a direct reflection of the Ghanaian society. Because literally we have all become corrupt people. Right? And we have pushed them into that level that you call riffraffs. Because, why? When I finished school, I was confident because I had a hope.
Okay.
And I knew I could deliver that hope because the people ruling the country at the time had interest in my future.
Okay.
So Nkrumah built, or I went to a GET school, Ghana Education Trust School. And he built it for young people who were coming up. He wanted to give us skills. He wanted to give us knowledge. You see, if we will not produce riffraffs, should start from our government.
Okay.
Because it is the policies of government that will not produce the riffraffs.
Riffraffs.
It is not, because nobody chooses to be a riffraff, and nobody ever chooses to be poor. Everybody is born to be Mr. Somebody or Madam Somebody. But the system will oppress the person. And that's why I'm worried about our leadership than anything else. But so if I relate this to business, many businesses prosper and many businesses die. I told you, when I saw in UAC 26 companies in a liberalized economy. Economy, obia to me crab bibiara, obia to me bibiara, in Yamanara webu, I will show me more about or then I can discuss an autonomous. You see, the nature of management had to change at the time. So from a free, from a supplier economy to a buyer's economy. Now the buyer has power. You, the supplier, I am choosing to buy your soap or go and buy something else because there are alternatives. Just massive. You see, I realized there, and I'll relate it to our politicians. I realized that the skills, the values, the behaviors of the people at the time managing the company were totally inconsistent with what the environment demanded. Because the manager at that time was used to issuing checks. He wasn't used to going to talk to somebody to come into his office to come and buy goods.
Yeah, Papa, we have a call from Cape Coast. Let's pick this as our last caller, then we can wrap up. You are welcome. Isaac, you are welcome. Isaac cannot hear me. Isaac, can you hear me? All right, Isaac cannot hear me. So that will be all for now in terms of the calls. Papa, yeah, twice so now. Said the ahwefo ni age ade hu die nke be pa wache wo say another time be anke convenient ma bia, so that you see I am very particular about how your family life and your personal ethics will come into business. Today we have looked at the others, but these are very soft things that can collapse a whole business. And we also want to know some aspect of your life in that regard. Enti and the way you say kahwefo e be say a second dose of this in this month of February.
I will try.
At the appropriate
I'll give you time.
Please,
I'll give you time and come.
Thank you.
Now, my main, just to summarize.
Yes, summarize, please.
I think for everybody, whether a business, a family, a church, a country, you must have a purpose.
Okay. Purpose.
You must have integrity.
Integrity.
Because you see, everything, I say, we all a bundle of conscience. As you sit here, you know what is good and what is bad. If you go and kneel down to pray, if you are in the pulpit, if you are in parliament, you know that what you are saying, you will know whether it is the truth or it is not the truth. Whether you are deceiving people or you are not deceiving people. You see, it is your integrity, it's your conscience that you should live by. And if you have a purpose and you have integrity and your behaviors align with your integrity, I don't see how you cannot succeed. No matter where you are. Because you don't go and say to people, I've come to make you better. And then you put up a behavior which shows that you are rather stealing all the money that will make other people feel better.
Poorer and poorer.
They are misaligned. You see, Mama can't say what time okay.
Oh yes, you have the final. But let me read these comments for you so that you can give me my last. God bless you, Dr. Yamson. He is a visionary leader. Listening to him has always been a pleasure. On his 80th birthday, I brought the Business and Financial Times, which had extensive write-up about him. And this is also somebody, he said, I'm a young man, a Methodist, and working with Deloitte United Kingdom as an audit manager. I wish I can have him as a mentor. Does he mind sharing his contact? Well, not on the screen. You can contact me personally and I can give that to you. And somebody is also talking, what is the Methodist Church not doing right as membership drive? So this is what somebody is also saying. Maybe your comment on that vis-a-vis business near the wrap up.
You know, my comment on that is very straightforward. Last year, I spoke at the annual conference of the lay movement. It was
also for 𝗓𝗪𝗏 lectures.
Yes, 𝗓𝗪𝗏
lectures. Yes.
This was at 𝗓𝗪𝗏.
𝗓𝗪𝗏, yes.
And my main concern was about membership drive.
Okay.
Because I said to the Methodist Church generally, we had a strategic plan. That's why when we tried to say, I was laughing.
Okay.
We said we're growing our numbers from 960,000 to 1.2 million, and we'll do so over 7 years.
Yeah.
Halfway, we have not gone up. We have gone from 960,000 to 670,000. So instead of gaining membership, we have lost membership.
Okay.
My question was why?
Okay.
That's one. Two, who are the members who are leaving? And why are they leaving? And what must we do to bring them back? You heard that lady say, as one or two things being see, Minfi Baptist Church in Nembom.
Yeah.
Moko baby.
Yeah. Papa, interestingly, I'm the manager of the strategic plan.
Oh, okay.
That is right. And the figures are now 900,000 and above. So the 600, we realized that yes, it was wrong. We hadn't added the diasporians and the ministers. Okay, but now we've added them, and then now we are 900 above. So a little 1 million.
That is true.
Yes.
The 900 above still means that over 7 years, we haven't delivered our plan.
Yes.
If you were in a business, you would be interrogated. Why we have not why you have not delivered over a 7 year period. But I'm happy that we are 900 something.
Yes, that's good. Yeah.
But we must deliver the 1.2 million.
Yes.
And we need to be honest with ourselves to say why are we not delivering. Every Methodist church I have been.
Yes, continue please.
I see more old people than young people.
Yes.
And if you look at and I'm sorry because I'm a patron of the choir. Look at the profile of our choristers.
Yes.
Society by society by society. You go to church and you have the old people, us, sitting in front. The young people are at the back, right? No, about 3 months ago, I chose to sit at the back just to observe the young people. But they don't pay any attention. They only are happy when they say they should go and put in the offertory and dance. They can dance.
They are on their phones.
And their phones and doing everything at the back. But traditionally in the Methodist Church, young people have been asked to sit at the back. And we are not prepared to change that, even today. So the young people always think that they are the afterthought. They are not at the center. And in business, we say, what is your core target? What is it that you would dream about it when you sleep? So are we dreaming about bringing young people to the Methodist Church? And if so, what will we do for a young person to wake up one morning and say, I'm going to the Methodist Church? What must we do to say to a young person, now I'm here, I'm not going anywhere again. And then I'm going to bring other friends. Last Sunday, I drove by a church, one of these churches. Literally everybody I saw was 30, 35 age.
A young person.
Young person. That was the profile. And there were many. This was after first service. And I said, but I want to see the same thing in my society, in my Methodist church.
The 𝗓𝗂𝗏.
Yes. I want to see more, because the future of this church is not me. Right? The future of this church is the young people. But they have to come and take our place when we are gone.
Wow. we want to thank you so much. I mean, your conclusion is very instructive. I know for some time now, some of you elderly people are talking about empowering the young people, both in business and both in the church. And I've also heard you make this comment in both aspects. The church and business must marry. Young people must be concentrated and they must be capacitated to take leadership role. We want to thank our father, grandpa, so much, Uncle Ishmael Evans Yamson, who is chairman of Yamson and Associates, also a member of the 𝗓𝗏𝗴 Society at 𝗓𝗏𝗏 Society. We are grateful, Uncle, and we will be expecting you the next time you give us the date. We'll arrange and have another beautiful session with you. Thank you so much, dear viewers.